Mexico.
All right, good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. and I'll call to order the Board of Directors regular meeting study session for Thursday, June 12th, 2025. May I have a roll call vote? A roll call, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Here.
Director Duff,
Present.
Director Martin,
Here.
Vice President Griffith,
No.
and President Sewell.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Seeing that all five of us are present, we'll skip item 3. Item 4 we'll also skip and do on Monday. Item 5, rules of procedure, Counselor?
Yes. The rules of procedure adopted by the Board of Directors. All meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. All questions and remarks should be addressed to the president as a presiding officer. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting.
Thank you. Item 6, public input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any items not listed on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public wishing to address the board today?
President Sewell, we do not.
Thank you. Item 7, human resources report. We'll do Monday.
Yes, President Sewell, Monday.
Moving on to action items. Item 8, the public hearing will be Monday, and that is for Resolution 2025-09 to establish sewer standby assessments. And it is recommended to adopt Resolution number 2025-09, making a determination to fix, levy, and collect sewer service standby assessments for fiscal year 2025-2026. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. As you said, this is a customary yearly item and the public hearing will be held on Monday. However, staff is available. Arturo Seja, our Director of Finance, is available to answer any questions the board may have, at least today, as we lead into the meeting on Monday. And then, of course, we'll reiterate whatever questions come up today that are relevant for the public hearing. So it is on the record on Monday.
Okay. Did we have any questions or comments today regarding the standby?
No, if the general public doesn't show up for the hearing, then just have to go with the staff recommendation.
And we'll move on then to item 9, which is also a public hearing, and that's to establish water standby assessments, Resolution 2025-10. And it is recommended that Resolution 2025-10 be adopted, making a determination to fix, levy, and collect water service standby assessment this year 2025-26. Same
Yes, President Sewell, being that the public hearing is on Monday, we'll give the presentation on Monday, but Arturo is here to answer any questions the board may have about this item.
And any questions or comments today?
Same comment as before.
Right. Moving on to item 10, and that's Resolution 2025-11, addition of delinquent accounts to county tax rolls. It is recommended to adopt Resolution number 2025-11, requesting the addition of delinquent water and sewer charges and other fees of $5 or more to the 2025-26 Riverside County tax rolls. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. Again, this is a customary yearly item. Arturo Seja, our Director of Finance, will be as a presentation to answer any questions. Arturo.
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Sewell, and members of the board. I was prepared to give a presentation on the first 2 items, but we can wait until Monday. It's on the same presentation. Let me pull that up and share my screen. And you all see that. Yes. And when? There. technical difficulties today. This is a standard item that we bring to the board every year, and it's pretty much our delinquent accounts. Some of these have not paid over 90 days, and some of these are closed accounts as well that have not paid. And this is a breakdown of the amount that we're sending to the county to collect on our behalf. And just as a reminder, it helps the district because the county does all the legwork for us in searching for these customers and getting them to pay. And we collect the money up front. What happens is when there's late fees or interest on those amounts, they do collect it and keep it for themselves, which works out. But to the tune of 267,000 this year. It is slightly higher than last year simply because we are back to no moratoriums and we are back to shutting off customers depending on their balance. We did write off 26,000. These are the accounts that we can't find, or there was a new owner that came about. We can't charge the new owner for what the previous owner left on that account, so we have to write it off. As well as we're still helping our customers with United Way. They're not coming to us for help as much as we would like them. This year alone, we've only done 41 accounts and $4,100. We put aside 16,000 for our customers to take advantage of that. And obviously there's a lot more left over that we can utilize to help them, including some of these so that they don't get put on the property taxes. And it's just a reminder, this is per the water code, that the district does have to collect these funds just to make sure that all the ratepayers are paying their fair share and we're not spreading it over those that, did not consume that water. And I'll answer any questions.
Any questions from the board, Director
Yeah.
Martin?
Yeah, you stated that the new owner wouldn't be charged the fee if the old owner relocates to a jurisdiction still within does that amount of money transfer to him? It does.
It is, yeah. These are the ones that basically moved out of state, moved out of the county, and there's really not much we can do about in that instance.
But if he does move within our jurisdiction, then we can transfer it.
Including credits, a lot of times
How,
Any questions?
yes. That 60,000 that you spoke of, how are we letting these customers know that that is available?
anyone on the shut off list, we let them know that there is funds available in all of the communications we do on Facebook and through our mailers, including the bill itself. We'll put in there that help is available for our customers as well as our portal. So we are doing pretty much all we can besides knocking on people's doors.
So they're just ignoring the fact that there is help there and
Yeah.
figuring it's no big deal and away they go, huh?
That's all I can think of because we do try to reach out to all of our customers.
Well, then I guess it needs to be put on their tax rolls.
Director Dunn?
Just a question. Is there any delineation on these accounts between residential and commercial? Do you know the difference, like the numbers for the two?
I think it's 98% residential and the rest are commercial. The two-
I was scanning through and some of these properties at $12,000-$15,000. I'm just trying to understand how a residence can get a bill that high. I can understand on a commercial property, some of them are that in 1 month, but on a residence, is that a leak? And then they just refuse to pay the leak?
A lot of the times, that's what happens where there is a leak. We reach out, they come in and say, I'm going to take care of it. 2 months because of SB 998, we cannot do anything for another 2 months. Another 2 months go by. Now there's 4 months and the cycle continues
Gotcha.
until we pretty much, there's no more we can do other than shut them off.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the clarification.
Vice President? I just had one, and that was, I think, what Director Duff was referring to, the almost 12,000 and the 15,000.
Mhm.
They both share the same address and APN number? How does that work?
That is a duplex or it's, I believe it's a hotel, not necessarily a residential for that account. I need to look a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
That's usually what happens in that situation. There's usually an A and B property and they share the same APN and therefore The accounts are almost the same, but not necessarily.
Okay. And then the United Way funds, do those just roll over that we don't use or?
They do. We do pay administrative fees, very little, but we do send them to them every quarter. And it's just whatever gets used, and whatever doesn't, they just roll it forward.
Typically though, we've been using just about all of them, haven't we?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
this year has been interesting that we are not getting more.
They're the old Sahara.
There you go. Yep, that's it.
Thank you. And I think you're the next item too.
Yep.
Moving on to item 11, resolutions 2025-12, 13, and -14, 2025-26 operating and capital budget appropriations limit and classification plan. And that includes A, the operating and capital budgets, B, the appropriations limit for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, and C, the employee classification plan. General Manager?
Thank you, President Sewell. This budget was discussed at our workshop last week on June 3rd. One of the things that I wanted to mention to the board, and we noticed during just before this meeting, that the actual budget document, draft budget document that was prepared was to be in your packet, and typically in your packet was not in the attachment. Therefore, I asked Dory to print it out and give it to everybody at the dais. It will be included in the packet moving forward for the board meeting. Just wanted to apologize for that on our side. Dory posted it before we could get that into our directory, and I applaud that she got it done so quickly, because it was very nice to have it done early in the morning. It's just one of those things that the attachment wasn't there. So I apologize for that. With that being said, Director of Finance, Arturo Seja.
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Sewell, and members of the board. I'm going to do a quick summary of what we talked about on June 3rd. If you do have any questions, I'll pretty much ask at the end, but it's just basically the same information with a few two changes that primarily want to point out. Not significant, but I'll just go over the summary. Quickly, the annual process again, it begins with staff, all of the managers, supervisors looking at their own budgets, reviewing. We provide to them all of last year's and the previous year's actuals to budget, so they can take a look. That gets returned to accounting. We put it together, speak to the general manager to go over those reports and the amounts before we do then come to the board to discuss those at the workshop, followed by the study session, board meeting. In that report continues to change throughout the year as managers make transfers for what they need between one budget line item to another. That's how we keep it alive until we come back again mid-year for any additions or corrections that we need to make at that time. And again, it starts again all over next March for the following year. Once again, the current environment, as we know, there's a lot of strict regulations. Chrome 6 is the top of the list. Conservation as well. Those mandates, rising costs, operating the regional wastewater plant. Some of the capital projects that were delayed, we're trying to get to at this point, and making sure that our customers can afford that water. The following reports that we're going to look at include the operating and capital budgets. The budget summary, the comparison, budget by function, and then the capital projects, which is the continuing new capital, those expected to be completed for your review. We did increase our revenue, water consumption by 1%. That is basically the trend that we're seeing for new connections to the district. One correction I wanted to make. Last presented 3 new positions. One of them was an administrative assistant. That was incorrect. It was actually a construction inspector. The other 2 were correct, the water distribution superintendent and the wastewater treatment plant supervisor. The electrical costs, as you heard, they're going up. And obviously, because we don't yet have the solar plant that built, we cannot put those numbers in here to help curb the cost. Once we do, we'll add them to here, but otherwise, because we don't have that operational right now, it does not include that. The cost to operate the Nancy Wright Regional Facility, the class and comp that was brought to the board back in February affected 14 employees, changing in terms of the range pay. And the board also in May approved the 2.6 cost of living adjustment in addition to one holiday for the employees. And the summary of the report comparing 1 year to the next, I did provide this to you as well. And there was no change to this from the last time we presented. We're still looking at the same numbers of total net to the district, 19 million. But it does not mean we're in the clear. We still need to do a better job with some of these capital projects, when we're gonna be completing them and when they're gonna come out of our operations, and we need to make sure that we're able to pay for them. $7 million is a net loss in adding all of the other non-operating revenue, which includes connection fees, the property taxes, the credits for the solar site rentals, interest income. A lot of this, by the way, is being used to fund some of the employee events, some of the other expenses that are not covered by ratepayers, like the United Way Fund. The float that we're putting together for the city is getting paid out of this now. Going down to the functional expenses, a lot of this makes more sense to many once you start looking at it by categories of the base service charge, water consumption, meter installation. And again, the 1% is partly here on the top at the base service and the water consumption. That is a trend that we are seeing. Other operating revenue, we had some items in there like the solar credits that we needed to adjust for what we're getting now, the trend. As those panels begin to fail or don't get maintenance, obviously we're not producing the same amount of energy that we were at the beginning. Sewer service, again, very minor increase due to the new connections. Backup and front footage increase due to expected new connections. Property taxes, basically the same. And then everything else. The one item in here that is of significance is that investment income. That is primarily the $15 million that we do have in the bank. That's bringing that amount of money for the district, including the investments that we decided to keep with CalTrust. Down to the expenses. The major item in here, of course, salaries, wages, employee benefits, and fringe benefits. This is those 3 new employees that were approved, the 2.6% COLA, the additional holiday pay, that amounts to about $1.2 million. Materials and supplies did go down. That's just a lot of it is the employees looking at what they have and not needing some of those items. Outside services, this was a major item that did go down over last year. Primarily, this is where we were tracking the SEP project that we did not need anymore. Utilities, there is an increase that we expect. Insurance, we did get notified by our insurance company that our rates were going up 20%, and that's what this increase is for. The audit and legal, about increase over last year, primarily to take care of those reports that happen after the audit is complete. Another depreciation did go down due to the fact that we added a lot of projects last year, and now they're just getting expensed every month. Other expenses of $226,000. Again, that's a lot of that is supplies and materials for the employees. Now that we have more employees, we're buying more desks, more computers, more supplies, writing utensils, and things like that. And finally, the capital improvements. These are the capital improvements that we said we were going to complete this upcoming year. Yeah, in addition to buying additional vehicles and equipment. Some of these are being paid by the grant, the AQMD grant, and a few others, but these are the costs of the district. Capital projects, we have 15 capital projects that are being completed this year for $3.3 million. There's requesting of $8.6 million to existing projects and $28 million for new projects. Primarily, that $28 million is that Chrome 6. Here's the detail that's in your report for review. The only thing that changed from last presentation is this item below, the well 24 pump equipment. That project has to be pushed up the line. You'll see it on item 17 today. But that is why we're showing it as an interim addition as opposed to being added to the fiscal year. I did provide the other reports in there for your review, the detail of what makes up the operating, non-operating, and finally where our cash is going at the end of the day for 2026, as well as last year. So you can see the detail of the comparison. Followed by the salary matrix. The board does approve every year, including our full-time employee listing. And finally, this is the page of the report that is missing from your packet that now you have. We did work diligently to get this completed. GM Macy did go through the items in here as well, including the message from the GM. And obviously it paints the picture of what we're doing with the budget for our ratepayers. And at this time, I'll answer any questions.
Any questions from the board, Director Duff?
Thank you for your presentation, and I need a little more time to digest what we didn't get to see. And thank you, Dory, for printing it out for us. I will save my questions for Monday if that's okay with everyone. But thank you for everything.
Vice President?
So obviously I haven't had time to go through this. Just one question. So I know you said we expect electrical costs to go up 8%. Have you put any cushion in there for possible increases due to tariffs and supply delays for any of the big projects this year?
We did, and that's included primarily. That's why we did change a lot of the capital projects to add for some of those, especially like the admin building, in additional to some of the other major projects that we have going on.
Okay.
That's where most of our purchases from outside happen with the materials.
Thanks.
Director Ryan? Director Ryan?
Not, I'll wait until next week.
Okay. And just to clarify, it was just those couple changes that were different from last Tuesday's presentation.
It was the one position I had put in administrative assistant. It's actually a construction inspector, and that 88,000 that was included in the regular next year, it's going to be included now as an interim because it's being brought today to the board.
Okay. And then the employee, was that at the same salary? It was just a title change, or?
It was not. The budget that was presented was correct. The information that was presented was wrong.
Okay.
So it was the administrative assistant had been approved at mid-year, and I didn't remember that, and I missed the construction inspector. It was just a matter of switching those titles, and that's
Okay.
what was presented.
Great. Well, thank you, Arturo.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 12, resolution 2025-15, and that's adoption of the Mission Springs Water District procurement policy. It is recommended that the board adopt resolution 2025-15, updating and amending the district's policies governing procurement, purchasing, and distribution of funds, and rescinding all previously adopted policies that conflict with the revised provisions. General Manager?
Thank you, President Sewell. This item was presented to the board during our board workshop on May 6th by AGM Champion. Marion is on vacation today, but we'll be back on Monday. As such, William Witten, our business analyst, will be presenting this item today. Will?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Sewell, and members of the board. As General Manager Macy mentioned, I will be presenting the final draft of the district's revised procurement policy today on behalf of Assistant General Manager Champion. So a little background on our current procurement policy. Our current procurement policy, it consists of multiple policies and resolutions. Although it has been effective, it lacks consistency and alignment with procurement best practices. So our goal with the revised policy is to streamline all of these policies into one official document that is easier to understand, updates dollar amounts of certain parts of the policy, which will be summarized later in this presentation, and it makes it so staff have one source of knowledge for everything procurement related. So as you can see there, we have the policy 2009-01, petty cash, the district credit cards, the bidding and contract procedures, the procurement policy separate from those. All right, so a little history of what we did to come up with this. So we reviewed all of the existing policies, and we started a draft of the new policy. On May 6th, that draft was presented at the workshop. Since then, we've completed the draft. We had it reviewed by our legal counsel, and it is being presented again today for this study session. So some of the benefits of updating the procurement policy, as I mentioned, it's going to standardize and organize it into one policy. It's going to provide clarity and consistency across all of the departments in the district. It reduces risk and it's going to ensure compliance with regulations. It enhances transparency and accountability, supporting training of current employees and future employees, because that's that one source of knowledge for everything procurement related. And then it's going to prepare the district for future growth and system integrations as well. So some of the changes, summary of them. So one of the things is we're changing the project definitions. So under the existing policy, and a minor project was considered one with a cost of $75,000 or less to complete. Due to increases in costs, inflation, we're proposing that be increased to $100,000 or less to complete. An intermediate project, again, that used to start at more than 75,000, but less than 150,000. So due to the increase of a minor project, that then bumps up the intermediate project to no more than to cost of more than 100,000, but less than 150,000. And then there's no change with major projects. That will be anything that costs more than $150,000 to complete. Okay, so some of the changes to the dollar amounts, as I mentioned. So the existing procurement authorization limits did not include the assistant general manager position, and it had a maximum general manager limit of $75,000. Some of the proposed changes, so we're adding assistant general manager champion's role to align with the director limit of 50,000 and increasing the general manager limit to 100,000. Again, that aligns with the project definitions and also it allows for increases due to inflation and costs. Along with that, and to keep it consistent, so the check signing authority table, the existing did not have the assistant general manager role, so that is the only change there. And then some of the procurement requirements were outlined in 2018-15, and those required quotes. It's different dollar amounts, less than 1,500. You needed one quote. There were different things. It was all outlined there. So just to streamline things, we moved that to easier to understand requirements: 0 to 5,000, one informal quote; 5,001 up to 50,000, three informal quotes; and anything over 50,000 and $1 would go through the formal solicitation process. Okay, and that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Will.
Of
Director
course.
Meyer? Director Meyer?
No, General Manager Macy and I went over this pretty thoroughly the other day, and I have no questions.
Right. Director Duff?
Great presentation, and I'm so happy that we are streamlining our policies in this way. Great work to Marion and her team and everyone else who participated. I just have one concern. And bear with me. Could you go back? I think it's 2 screens.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is that the check signing?
One more. Okay. So is there anything written in these policies that say per contractor or in accrual for per, like, I don't want to see the ability to do 4 contracts up to $100,000 with the same contractor. And I'm not saying that our general manager now would do that, but this is for now and for the future to make sure the rules are clear. So my concern is it clear enough in the language of the policy that it would indicate that it would be per contractor or per contract? Is there some sort of language that needs to be there to clarify that? Aggregate, thank you, is the right word.
Thank you for the question. I believe in the draft policy, it does address that. I would have to double check, and we can definitely get back to you with the answer for that question on Monday to be sure.
I think it may be addressed. I believe this may address that question on page 9, section 13. And it's the third bullet point that says splitting or separating of material supplies, service, lease, and equipment orders or projects for the express purpose of evading the requirements of this policy is strictly prohibited.
Thank you. I missed it. I'm reading a lot, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, JP.
Perfect. Vice President, any questions?
No.
And I had nothing further, but great job. I'm happy that we're getting everything kind of all in one place and easier to reference for our staff. So thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Item 13, contract agreement with TKE Engineering for on-call professional general engineering services. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to execute a contract agreement with TKE Engineering for on-call professional general engineering services in the amount of $210,000 for fiscal year 2025-26. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. For the most part, this contract is for just water resources through TKE and specifically Steve Ledbetter. Eric Weck, our engineering manager, will be providing a presentation with more detail. Eric?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, and good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. Item 13 of this afternoon's agenda pertains to executing a contract agreement with TKE Engineering for professional general engineering services. You'll likely remember that we went through this same effort last year for TKE's annual on-call contract. TKE Engineering provides experienced engineers to supplement MSWD staff on an as-needed basis to develop project plans, taking the lead on coordinating with other agencies by securing funding, providing necessary reports, plan checking, and taking the lead in assisting the district in managing multiple water resource efforts, some of which I'll touch on now. The first one is the Coachella Valley Regional Water Management Group. Now, TKE prepares progress reports that are reflected in the Mission Springs Water District's monthly general manager's report, and you'll see some water resource information in there. They'll also work on grant-funded projects and also assisting in grant applications and representing the district in monthly update meetings with other water purveyors in the Coachella Valley. Secondly, they also work on and represent the district in the Salt Nutrient Management Plan. TKE provides ongoing assistance for the district, including attending monthly steering committee meetings, technical advisory meetings, and reviewing and providing technical input on memoranda and providing input on the water quality groundwater model that's being developed. The Salt and Nutrient Management Plan is expected to be complete by early 2027, and these efforts also include assisting with the preparation of the annual Salt Nutrient Management Plan monitoring reports to the Regional Water Board. And just recently, updates to the Regional Urban Water Management Plan for 2025 and the Mission Creek Basin Alternative Plan update, as well as the 2027 San Gorgonio Pass Groundwater Sustainability Plan updates are all on the horizon that require district input, review, and comments of technical information to ensure that our needs are met and represented as these reports affect Mission Springs Water District. data requests and regularly scheduled meetings with other local water agencies that are affected by these plans, and providing input on chapters in these reports as they pertain to the district is all necessary. And TKE can do this to make sure that the district is well represented, and TKE staff has been capable of doing so. To conclude, TKE has a lot of historical knowledge about the district, as well as the Coachella Valley, and has experience in managing a multitude of water resource plans for us, and representing the districts and its interests in the ongoing efforts. I do want to make sure that I call this out. I believe the agenda specifies a dollar amount of $210,000. It actually was reduced to $200,000. We were able to find a little cost savings there. So the staff report is correct. It's just that the agenda on item 13 listed 210, and that'll be corrected for Monday's meeting. I believe TKE is on the call. And before I ask to see if TKE has anything to add, I'd like to ask the general manager if there's anything that I missed or if there's anything that he wants to touch on as well.
Eric, can you go back to the last slide that shows the cost breakdown? I just wanted to make one point because even when I looked at it at a first look, I was sort of, I see some of the same projects there twice. And I'm going to just focus on the Mission Creek subbasin. The interesting thing about the Mission Creek Subbasin, by settlement agreement, we have quarterly meetings with the other two general managers. That's why that particular item is on there twice. We have the alternate plan update, but we also have the quarterly meetings that we also do. And at those quarterly meetings, we talk about how much recharge was done or what the well levels are and things like that. So you may see things on here twice, but the reason there is because they're two different functions and we wanted to make sure that they were separate. So that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Thank you, sir. And I just got word that TKE is unable to attend this virtually, but they did say that they will be present in person on Monday. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for catching that adjustment for the agenda for Monday. Any questions, Director Martin?
No.
Director Martin? Director Duff?
Just initials that I'm still learning. Can you please tell me what SNMP stands for?
Salt Nutrient
Nutrient. Okay.
Management Plan.
Thank you very much.
Vice President? And I have nothing further. Thanks again, Eric. Item 14, Joint Community Facilities Agreement between Mission Springs Water District, City of Desert Hot Springs, Skyborn Ventures LLC, Lennar Homes of California, and AGEHC2 CA2 LP. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to execute a joint community facilities agreement between those previously mentioned parties. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. This item was presented to the board during our workshop last week on the 3rd. This is a financial instrument for the purpose of financing public facilities and constructed for water facilities being owned and operated at one time by Mission Springs Water District. This agreement does not impact or take the place of the development agreement we have in place with Skyborn Ventures or the 4 subsequent amendments to that. From a historical perspective, the original development agreement, and this project's we've been working with a variety of different folks, but since 2006, since Danny is the only one that's been here for that period of time. Is there anything you'd like to add to this agreement or anything that's not maybe in the staff report that you're aware of? We also do have 2 other folks on the line. Go ahead.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Sewell, members of the board. I think you teed it up pretty well. I know we talked about this at the last workshop, and I know that there was some questions. I think with the people that are on the line today, I'd like to just go ahead and just read the room and answer any questions that may come up after further discussion.
So yes, the people on the call, Jim Kozak, who represents Skyborn Ventures, as well as Michael Bush, Urban Urban Futures, who is working with Skyborn Ventures to work through the actual finance district setup and things of that nature. This agreement will be between of multiple folks, ourselves, potentially Lennar, the city. The city will actually have the responsibility of creating the finance district itself. This just allows us to be part of that big agreement. Some of the other things, just to remind the board of, this is around over a $60 million facilities project, and of that, 22 million is our contribution, and will help us with providing fire protection as well as peak demand to this area. Jim, is there anything you'd like to add to this at this point before we open it up for just general questions?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I think the important thing here is these, as I tried to mention in the study session, this is a common practice financing tool to help build infrastructure. As many of you know, Danny Friend, especially since he was involved in the beginning, the Skyborn project has been involved since 2005. So we have quite a few years, and it's sat dormant primarily because of market conditions. And now that the market has continued to come back, the infrastructure costs in the last 20 years have sometimes doubled and tripled in cost to provide the same infrastructure. And it's now become a very effective tool that many cities and water districts are using to help continue development growth in their areas so that the water district can generate more customers, spread their costs over more customers, and fulfill its obligations as an agency. So we at Skyborn Ventures funded a $70,000 deposit to begin this process with the city. Their bond counsel and their financing people have reviewed everything with their consultants and the city consultants, and the city has blessed this document that you have before you as a document that they're prepared to sign at their next city council meeting, pending the board of directors of Mission Springs Water District's approval and participation. So that's an overview and a background as to why this is being done, and it's primarily to help provide a baseline to do the future build out of all of the Skyborn villages. I'm not sure if Michael Bush, who also has worked with the city on this, I would like to add a couple other additional items for feedback. Michael, are you available?
Yes, Jim. Be happy to speak up. Thank you, Jim. Mr. Macy, my name is Michael Bush. I'm the actual financial advisor to the city of Desert Hot Springs. And like some of the individuals that have spoke earlier, I've been involved on this project since 2007, the different varieties of it. I've worked on the development agreements with Mr. Kozak in the city, and I'm part of the team that helps facilitate the formation of the Community Facilities District. To be candid, I'm pleased this item is even before you tonight. It has probably been a long time coming for consideration between the two entities. My last probably 7 years with the city have focused on getting development to come forward, whether it be the Skyborn project or others. The item before you tonight, I believe, facilitates an efficient and effective way to bring infrastructure into the many areas of the city that are needed in an efficient way. As Mr. Macy pointed out in his comments, there's no financial impact to the district to move forward. There is, to the district's benefit, however, some controls in what gets funded, the projects that get selected, and your ability to inspect them and to agree to the withdrawal of bond proceeds to reimburse for those projects or to reimburse for fees paid for facilities that the district will build later. So while the district is not the lead in the formation, it does have the ability to play an active role in the management of the facilities being built and the review and approval of those facilities once Mr. Kozak's team has put them in place.
So with that, we'll turn it back over to you, General Manager Macy.
I think we're at this point, we're ready for any questions the board may have.
Okay. Any questions, Director Martin?
No.
Director Martin?
Comment when time comes.
Sure, go ahead.
I separated this into three different sections because we have the developer, then we have the water district, and who's going to pay for it is our customers in the future. To remind everybody, it only affects the people in Skyborn. Whatever the developer is doing here, the outcome of that is really not my decision, shouldn't play a part in my decision on the vote here. The other section of this is, what is it going to do for the water district? Can we accomplish the same thing without getting involved with this? The answer, I believe, is yes. It'll just take a little bit longer to do it. Then we have our future customers that we have to keep in mind that we'll be paying for. So that's the bottom line for me, is our future customers, they're gonna have to pay for this. Our future customers that buy a home in Skyborn will have to use their own due diligence as to how much they'll be paying when they do buy that property. Is it in the benefit for everybody concerned? I believe that this is, because it'll help with more development around Skyborn, which means that the future for Desert Hot Springs itself and the development will be a little faster, hopefully. And that's important. The more rooftop counts we have, we used to refer to it as a rooftop count, the more commercial buildings will be coming in and the more things there'll be for our residents. So I believe that this really is in the benefit for everybody concerned, that this is approved, and the developer feels that he'll still be able to, I should say Skyborn feels that they should still be able to get people to buy their homes under this situation. That's up to them. So I believe that what we're doing here is a good thing and that we should participate with it.
Thank you. Director Duff?
A couple questions first. On the remaining phases, were any of those 55 plus or low income designated development properties?
Jim, would you like to take that?
Yes, I can take that. At this time, we do not have any 55 plus or low income properties planned for Skyborn. It is possible, but surprisingly, despite our best marketing efforts, we have not had any active adult builders interested in building active adult in Skyborn.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to clarify that for some questions that came to me from community members. Second, if my understanding in reading this is correct, the development agreement that Mission Springs has with Skyborn will stand precedent to this CFD agreement. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
It does not, the development agreement that is in place and the four amendments as part of that will remain in place and will actually more than likely, as we start building into the 1700 zone, be bringing more amendments or revising the entire agreement and solidifying, since it's been almost 20 years, to bring it into one new one.
Okay.
But to date, we've just been adding amendments to that.
And so as part of those, due to our very strict water code and ratepayer obligations and rules of what we're allowed to bill for and things, our clients can't ever become building and loan officers, right? Like they can't pay for future. So I just need to make sure that my understanding is that all of our normal deposits will have to be made irregardless of whether the city achieves getting the CFD funds in time, that our money has to be deposited as normal course of business so that we can bill against it as a normal course of business, because our staff work can't be billed to our current customers for a project that should be covered by the developer. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the agreement correctly, in that our deposits as required for all development have to be paid prior to you starting work, just as normal course of business always is with Mission Springs. Am I correct in that assertion?
Jim, would you like to answer that question? And I think Danny and I can add to that from our perspective, but I think the first answer should probably come from you and what you have contributed to since Skyborn has been part of this project.
Yes, we have funded those costs initially, Director Duff, and this would not change that.
Okay, so then we're clear that all of our regular deposits for these projects will be made by Skyborn or whoever you designate in normal courses of business as required by our water code and our development code, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
The development agreement really takes the handbook that we have approved by the board and basically takes all of those requirements and then makes them specific to the Skyborn property. Now, this agreement was originally with Western Pacific Housing back in 2006. And then in 7, it was updated because some of the wells that were drilled did not meet the available capacity. And then, of course, the second agreement was 2015 when Skyborn came on, and they have picked up all the obligations, and they have every time they have looking at whether it be Village 2, Village 3, and we start looking at those plans. At some point, they hand it off to the builder, but for the most part, when Skyborn comes in, they pay for all the associated fee, all the review costs, and everything that is necessary to get the project moving. We get reimbursed for that. So it is not picked up by Mission Springs Water District.
And the CFD does not change any of those requirements.
Correct. It's a financing vehicle to allow them to finance the other off-site improvements. Some of them are on-site, but there's like the Spine Road and things like that are outside some of the villages. And then at that point, it will be built all to our standards. And then once it's constructed, then it'll go through the bill of sale and then be given.
Just like normal.
Yes.
Okay, so basically this is to allow the developer and the city to work on recouping their fees, kind of like we had to with the state grant. We handle all the costs and covering and paying for the contractors, and then they get reimbursed. Is that a fair layperson's
A
assertion?
little bit different in that we had to spend the money to get the grant money from the state. In this particular case, this provides them the funding to go out and start those projects and build the infrastructure. But yes,
But for us, for Mission Springs, they will have to fund
absolutely
us irregardless of waiting for that other funding.
Yes.
That's all I had to make sure was very clear.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Vice President? And I'll just say some good questions. Thank you. After speaking with General Manager about this after the last workshop, it's interesting how common these are becoming, especially all throughout the valley in our neighboring districts. So I think it will be a benefit to not only Skyborn, but to our community and to our district. So thank you, Jim, and thank you, Michael. I don't think we have anything further.
No.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 15, contract agreement renewal with Intelisys Communication Services for information technology professional services. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to enter into a contract with Intelisys Communication Services for IT professional services for the 12-month period of July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 in the amount of $125,544.44. plus a 10% contingency for a total of $138,099, and to do all things necessary to execute this agreement. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. I will ask our Innovation and Technology Manager to take this item. I know that Intellisys is on the call as well. Kurt?
Thank you, General Manager Macy and President Sewell, members of the board. Intellisys has been our IT company for about 1.5 years now. We went out to RFP. We did a 6-month contract with them to align with our fiscal year. We're completing our first full year with them under that contract. And so they've done a great job for us. They've kept our servers patched, our workstations patched. They make recommendations on security and they implement those. They've been very helpful in bringing the right plant online. So we're looking forward to another year with them. So the amount of their contract has gone up because we've added more staff, we've added more devices to manage, and we're also anticipating them being involved in some of the cybersecurity projects that we are getting funded by our grant, which I just found out this week, FEMA approved. So we will be getting that funding. So Intellisys is on the line if you have any questions you'd like to ask them.
Any questions? Director Duff? Vice President? Director Martin?
No.
Director Martin?
I was commenting to General Manager Macy that on my end of the computer, it looks like all you're doing is blocking my emails. However, that's really not the case. And General Manager Macy refreshed my memory on what's really going on behind the scenes. And I appreciate your guys' work, and it's better that I'm aggravated about the emails as opposed to being the whole district being aggravated over a cyber attack or somebody coming in and just messing the whole system up. So thank you for your work, and I think it's money well spent.
And I have nothing, no questions, but just I'm glad to hear that we're happy with their services. And yeah, thank you to Intellisys. And to you, Karen.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item 16, acceptance of the water supply assessment and water supply verification for the 20th Avenue Logistics Center project. It is recommended that the board accept and approve the water supply assessment and water supply verification for the 20th Avenue Logistics Center project in the city of Desert Hot Springs. General Manager?
Thank you, President Sewell. This is for the property between, actually it's right, so where our right facility is, and then you'll have the Amazon facility. This is right next to that. This is a required assessment through government code that we show that we do have the ability to provide water to this area. I will ask that Eric Wecker, Engineering Manager, give a full presentation. Eric?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. Item 16 of this afternoon's agenda pertains to the water supply assessment and water supply verification report for the 20th Avenue Logistics Center project. The proposed development is located in the city of Desert Hot Springs on the north side of 20th Avenue, east of Indian Canyon Drive, and immediately west of the new Amazon facility. To serve as some background, where significant development projects are contemplated and is in the preliminary entitlement process through the land use agency, which in this case is the city of Desert Hot Springs, a WSA and WSV are required to be prepared pursuant to Senate Bill 610 and Senate Bill 221. The proposed 20th Avenue Logistics Center will develop a little more than 54 acres of vacant land located on the north side of 20th Avenue and will consist of 1,062,165 square feet, a single-story warehouse, and a distribution center with office space, which qualifies as a project under Senate Bill 610, as it exceeds the 500,000 square foot threshold of whether or not a WSA is necessary. So based on the analysis and preparation of the WSA, the estimated water demand for the project will be about 63.7 acre feet per year. This demand falls within the currently available and projected water supplies, and MSWD has the capacity to serve the proposed project well into the future. Secondly, there are no district monies being spent on the preparation of this WSA for this logistics center project. The development project team provided a deposit with the district to cover the cost of preparing the WSA, as well as staff time reviewing it and managing the entitlement process as it pertains to the district's needs. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Eric. Any questions, Director Duff?
This isn't really related to our part of this issue, but do they have to get air quality control studies done also? Do you know by chance?
I'm sure that would be taken care of in those environmental studies, whether it's biological and possibly um, um, cultural. Those reports would be directed by the City of Desert Hot Springs.
Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you.
Vice President?
No.
Director Martin? Director Martin? And I have nothing further. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Item 18, no, I'm sorry. Item 17, approve change order number 2 with Southwest Pump and Drilling for the on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services contract and augmentation of the capital budget. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to approve change order number 2 with Southwest Pump and Drilling Incorporated for the on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services contract. This change order will increase the contract amount by $78,725.66, which includes a 10% contingency, revising the total contract amount from $197,549 to a not to exceed amount of $276,274.66. Staff also recommends augmenting the capital budget by $88,000 and authorizing the general manager to do all things necessary to complete the project. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. I will ask our Director of Operations, Danny Friend, to provide you a presentation on this item. Danny?
Thank you, General Andrew Macy. Good afternoon again, President Sewell, members of the board. Earlier, you heard the Director of Finance, Arturo Ceja, mention that this was a item that I had actually requested on the 26th fiscal budget. We had brought Southwest Pump in to pull the equipment after we had been experiencing and working through some vibration issues. That report concluded that the pump itself, the bowl assembly and pump, had severe mechanical failure. We had planned, as we've done, is we've implemented alternative system connections to keep us in where we are today. With the hot weather and the concern of if one of those items that we have implemented happens to go bad, we would have an issue. So one of the things that we would ask is we brought this to the board as an emergency item. The other part of this is, you may recall last month I brought this contract change order for the same company to take care of well 30. The only reason I bring it up is it's just month after month. The reason I bring it up is some of the system changes that we're doing to keep wells off is also the urgency to go ahead and see if we can get 28 and well 30 analyzed so that we can look at a rehab so we can get them on board. So they're not here yet. Right now we're doing well. As it gets hotter, there are some challenges keeping water in the system, but the guys, the team themselves have been doing a fantastic job. It's just if we have one more issue at this time, we'd be in a bad shape. So what we're asking is the board give consideration to pass this as an emergency ahead of the actual fiscal year budget. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anything further?
No, I wanted to thank Danny and Arturo both, because this was something that when Danny brought this to my attention, we talked about holding it for next year. We started going down that path, but as the weather started to get warmer, we realized that we may have an issue. So both of them worked very diligently to make sure that this was included in this year's budget. And it changed some of the numbers and everything that Arturo has to do at the very last moment. We try not to do that, but he was able to do that. So I want to thank both of them for their effort to get this on there and not making it an emergency that you had to wait 30 days to hear from. It's something that's ongoing right now. I don't know that they've done it. They've done some of the work but we haven't got any invoice for it. So there is a provision in our code that allows us to do emergency work like this. But again, staff was able to work through this and get this on this agenda. So again, thank you both.
Yeah, just to clarify that statement, yes, the work to pull the equipment, to evaluate the equipment, to provide the report was done on the current contract, within the current contract terms and within our budget. The work that as I'm bringing to you today, to get ahead of the game, yes, as an emergency, we authorized the purchase of the pump. So there's a long lead item to that. When I say long, it's longer than I'm comfortable with, but it's looking like we can possibly get this started as soon as the board takes action. I'm hoping that the board takes action on Monday.
Great. Thank you. Any questions, Director Martin? Director Meyerhoffen? Director Duff?
And how quickly can they complete?
This typically would take, once they get the equipment on site, they mobilize. I would imagine from start to finish, installation, back T testing, samplings, maybe 2 weeks
Okay.
or less.
Awesome. Thank you.
Vice President? And I have nothing further. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Item 18, Resolution 2025-XX, placing nomination of an MSWD board member as a member of the Association of California Water Agencies Region 9 Board. It is recommended to consider nominating a candidate or candidates to serve on one or more of Aqua's Region 9 boards. General Manager?
Thank you, President Sewell. We are prepared, once the board makes official nomination of this position, to complete the form, and then the resolution will then get its title and we can modify that for Monday. We just have to make some modification to what's in the packet today, but really this is a board discussion for a nomination for the Region 9. So with that, the board can discuss and give us direction, and we'll make the appropriate changes for the board packet on Monday.
Okay, great. And I did see on the dais was Director Martin's form, nomination form. Did anyone else have anything to discuss?
No, I think Director Martin will do a good job for us, but being here for what, 14 years? 15 years now, and served a number of times as our president, and I believe he has my vote for it. Thank you.
Anything further? We'll take action.
It's not a beauty contest. So.
We'll take action for this on Monday then. Right?
So
Or
the board is going to nominate.
Director Martin.
Perfect. Then we will modify the staff report to reflect that. Thank you.
Item 19, board member affiliation listing update. At the discretion of the board of directors, discuss, amend, and approve if desired the updated affiliation listing. And we discussed this at the workshop. Was it the workshop or last month's meeting? But it was a discussion item, and this is just allowing us to now vote on the decision.
We'll make any motions to change the affiliation list as it reads today. I think there was a lot of discussion about changing some of it, but it wasn't agendized. So now that it's agendized, if you do choose to make any changes and go through a motion process, we can then change the affiliation list and bring that to the board for action on Monday.
Okay, so this will allow us to make a motion and take action. Did we have any further discussion on the affiliation listing today?
Yeah, I'm going to recommend a change. I'm trying to find it under assigned meetings, workshops, events, Building Industry Association. And in red, it says only held in the Coachella Valley. I'd like to move that we state only when held in the Riverside County. Beyond that, no other changes that I would recommend.
Okay.
I have another one. I recommended when I was first appointed here, or first elected here, that we attend the planning commission meetings. Now, I was wondering, maybe I've kind of felt maybe I'd made a mistake back then. But now what has happened is that the city has changed their policies as to how they're issuing the permits and looking at things. So now there's hardly anything for the planning commission to be doing. like this month they canceled again. So whatever, it appears whatever they are approving is stuff that needs to be approved by them in order for it to go before the city council. So we already have a representative going to the city council that's coming back to report that. So to pay two directors to bring back that same small piece of information doesn't make any sense to me. So I would like for the board to think about next week removing the planning commission meetings from the affiliates list.
Okay. And I guess this is a question, JP. Would they need to make separate motions, or could someone just make a motion for the Riverside County and, well,
They could make one motion. The risk of doing it as
then
one
you lump it
motion
together?
is some people may support one and not
Okay.
the other. So breaking it up avoids that.
So yeah, probably separate motions and just make that on Monday.
Yeah.
Anything further, discussion, questions? No. All right, thank you. Moving on to our discussion items, we have item 20, Critical Services Center and Administrative Building Update. General Manager?
All three of these discussion items will be discussed on Monday.
That's easy. We'll move down to consent agenda. This month, the consent agenda consists of just item 23, the approval of minutes, and item 24, the register of demands. Did we want to discuss or have any questions on those two items today? All right, we'll do that on Monday if needed to discuss. Item 25, director's reports. Did anyone want to give their report today?
Monday.
Linda? And item 26, general manager's
We'll
report.
move on.
Oh, yeah.
Reminder, Monday's meeting is at 1:00. Not three, just,
Is that one?
is that right?
No, it's at 3. That was last month. It
Was
was,
that last month's meeting?
yes.
Sorry, I had it. Okay,
Item 26, general manager's report. We have the finance report and public affairs report.
Both of those will also be on Monday. The general manager's report, which talks about a variety of things, including how much water, how many new services and things like that, as well as other operational things, is in your packet. If there's any questions, we can answer them today or on Monday.
Okay. Did we have any questions or comments today? Thank you. Item 27, district council comments.
We will have a closed session on Monday, but none today. And I don't have anything else other than that.
Thank you. Item 28, director comments and requests. Director Martin.
good work by staff, putting all this information together. It's a lot of work involved. Good work.
Director Mann.
Yeah.
Director Duff.
The Coachella Valley Association of Governments General Assembly meeting is happening June 30th in Rancho Mirage. And I didn't know if any of the other directors aside from myself were planning on attending. I know that everyone had attended last year, except for maybe you when it was in Desert Hot Springs.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. So I just wanted to remind everyone that it was on the calendar and that if any of you wanted to attend and wanted to add it to the agenda for compensation, that we needed to do so on Monday.
Thank you.
Also, I'm sorry, along the same lines, the Desert Valley Builders Association is having their appreciation party on Thursday, I believe.
19th, I believe.
Yeah, it's at the Palm Springs Air Museum. That's free to all members, including a member and a guest, and you're all members. So it isn't going to cost you anything to.
But we still need to sign up through DOOR.
Yeah, make reservations or directly to Gretchen. It's on her calendar if you're, so either through Lori or.
I did that, and then there was another email that said something about $19 for the members. So there may be some confusion. Is there a charge for the members or not?
No, you look at the actual notice.
Okay,
And specifically on the notice of there, it says on there, members, including a guest, is free.
okay, I must have misread it then. Thank you.
Vice President, any comments or requests?
No.
And my only comment is next Wednesday, the 18th, we are having our blood drive here from 7 to 12. And there's still slots available if you'd like to donate. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.